My brothers and my sisters, may God give you peace. This is a reflection for the 6th Sunday of the Easter season. Next Sunday, when we gather to celebrate Eucharist together, probably virtually for many of us, we will be celebrating the feast of the Ascension of Jesus, his departure from his presence on the earth in his risen flesh, and his return to the Father. The Sunday after that, we will be celebrating the great feast of Pentecost, which celebrates the coming of the Spirit, the presence of God with us in the Spirit. One sense, Ascension kind of focuses on the absence, the departure. Pentecost focuses on the coming and the presence of God among us. I think in some ways this particular Sunday is meant to help us prepare to celebrate both of those coming feasts. Now, my parents are both deceased. My father this year will be gone 48 years, and my mom will be gone 17 years. And so, like so many of us as we age, they are no longer present in my life the same way that they were. I can't embrace them, I can't hug them, I can't see them face to face. And so they are, in some sense, absent. And yet, at the same time, they are very much present to me, in my mind and in my heart. Sometimes I can hear the things that they said to me, and I remember the stories that they told me. There are things in my life that especially call them to mind. In those moments, I'm very much aware of their presence. For example, my dad loved red-skinned Spanish peanuts. It's something I inherited from him too. But when we would go to Sears, which in those days was like going to the mall, that was the place for shopping, there was a place that sold nuts right under the escalator. And we would stop and Dad would buy a bag of hot, red-skinned Spanish peanuts. Oh, they were so good. They tasted so good. And as I said, it's something that I enjoy even now. And whenever I toss a few into my mouth, it reminds me of my father. And for a few moments, he is even more present to me in memory and in affection. My mom was a tremendous seamstress. And she, when we were growing up, she used to make all kinds of things for us kids and then for her grandkids. After I was ordained, she made many vestments for me. And when I would wear them, that would be a great sense of joy, I think, for her. But to this day, I have some vestments that she made. And when I put them on, I'm mindful of my mom and her ongoing, her continuing presence in my life and her love and care. We got a little tag in the back that says, "Made by Mom with love." I think most of you probably can identify with what I'm talking about. That it's part of our human experience too, that there are some times when somebody who is very far away from us physically, it could be hundreds or thousands of miles away across the ocean, and yet they can be very present to us in our mind and in our heart. Sometimes we have the opposite experience, that someone who is very close to us, maybe living in the same house with us, can seem very distant and very far away. It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? The mystery of presence and absence. I think we probably know a lot about that in these days when we are dealing with the coronavirus. And we are not able to gather as we would like. We're not able, for example, right now to be in the same space with each other. We have to wave through windows and communicate and connect by means of FaceTime and Zoom and things like that. But we are still, I think, very present to each other, even though we may not be able to gather in the same house or in the same space or in church. When I turn on the camera to begin live streaming our Mass, I see people logging in, and a lot of people, their name shows up. They might type good morning. I might see their little logo at the top, and I feel very connected. We're not in the same physical space, but I feel very present and connected to those of you who are joining in. Absent? Yes. Present? Absolutely. I think our scripture readings today are kind of playing with that paradox of absence and presence. In the gospel, Jesus said to his disciples at the Last Supper, "In a little while you will see me no more." I'll be gone. I'll be absent to you, at least in one way. And yet, I will not leave you orphaned. For I will remain in you, and you will remain in me. For I will be sending you my Spirit, that Spirit who will be an advocate for you. He went on to say things like, the world doesn't know me. It's like the world we're not connected. We're kind of absent in some way to each other, but you know me. Presence, absence. In our second reading from St. Peter today, we also heard something of that mystery. He said Jesus was given up to death in the flesh, but was given life in the Spirit. Life and death, presence and absence. I think our faith, brothers and sisters, is very much founded on our conviction of the presence of God. How many times when we gather to celebrate Eucharist, don't I say to you, the Lord be with you? And you respond, yeah, and also with you. We're reminding each other of the fundamental presence of God in our lives. We sense God's presence. It's not the same as, we are present to other people, but it's strong, it's real, it's loving. At the same time, we have to acknowledge that it is sometimes a bit elusive. There's a special skill, we call it discernment, of being able to recognize the presence and the voice and the movement of God in our lives. Even Jesus said the Spirit blows where it wills. We don't always see the wind blowing, but we see its effects, and so we know that it is there. I think our experience of the presence of God is that it is a presence tinged with also a sense of absence. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes we feel the absence of God more than the presence of God. Sometimes we do feel as if we are orphaned or alone or adrift, tossed about by the storms and the struggles of life. I think of that man in the gospel who came to Jesus asking for help, and he said, Lord, I do believe, but help my unbelief. He believed, we believe, and yet there's that part of us that sometimes wonders and struggles and even doubts. We believe in the presence of God, but we also sense something of the absence of God. I read one time, I heard it, it's a nice little phrase, catchy. To believe in God is to rejoice in God's presence and to be haunted by God's absence. I heard a speaker one time use an image that kind of resonated with me. The speaker was saying that being a disciple, being a follower of Jesus, trying to listen to his voice, his lead, and to follow him, is kind of like you catch a glimpse of him, and so you begin to follow, you want to see more, and then turns a corner. And so you hurry up, and you get up, and you turn the corner just in time to see them turn the next corner. And so you hurry up and keep going and keep moving forward just in time for them to turn another corner. And you keep going, keep going. I think our hunger, our desire for God is a gift. And it keeps us searching. It keeps us growing. It keeps us on the journey. St. Paul used another image one time that resonates again with me. He said, now we see dimly, as in a mirror. And in those days, the mirrors were not quite as sharp and precise as our mirrors are today. They were a little bit more fuzzy. He says, now we see dimly, but there will come a day when we will see face to face. Brothers and sisters, God is present to us. God is present among us. God is present in word, in the scriptures. God is present in our sacraments. God is present in our community when we gather. And that's why it is hard when we are not able to gather in those forums to celebrate that presence. But we long for it, we hunger for it, we desire it, because it means so much to us. In our second reading today, St. Peter also said to us, you should always be ready to tell one another why you have hope. You should always be able and ready to give reasons why you are filled with hope. One of the reasons I am filled with hope is because I do experience the presence of God in so many wonderful and marvelous and mysterious ways, in the Word, in our sacraments, in you, my brothers and sisters. I long for the day when we will be able to gather and to sign and celebrate that presence among us. We are grateful for the presence of God among us now, in and through the Spirit. And we long for the day when we will see God face to face and celebrate that presence in all its fullness. Sisters and brothers, may God